Welcome to the way too early 2026 NBA mock draft. This is my first mock draft for this 2026 class, and let me preface, a lot of this is going to change over the actual year. You're probably going to disagree with some of my opinions, and that's going to be very valid because every year, the first mock draft that I do that's way too early, like way before college season even starts, is going to be vastly different from the final official mock draft I do when this draft season is over. But it's just fun to do, and that's why I like to do them. And without further ado, that's going to be what this video is about. So if you disagree with anyone, I have someone not even in it, or you think I have them way too high on someone, those opinions could be very valid. We haven't even seen these kids play in college basketball for the most part, for most of them, so no telling how it's going to actually shake down. It's just very fun to look back at the end of the year and see how different things can change. So let's have a little bit of fun, and let's get right into this video. And with the first overall pick, we have the Utah Jazz selecting Dasa. Now, AJ is an absolute beast. If you haven't watched the kid play, he's a freak, okay? His athleticism is insane. He has way too much potential to pass up with the number one overall pick. Even if you're worried about his jump shot and things like that, you just can't. You can't worry about that, okay? You have to go after him if you have him because he is that level of an athlete. He's that special. And if you watch him, I have no doubts that he is going to be able to be a great NBA player when he gets there. Now, I'm assuming he's shooting 25% from three at minimum. This kid is going to be a legit problem. He is different. Two-way potential absolutely through the roof, and it would give them one of the most athletic front courts in the entire NBA, if not the most, because they would have Ace Bailey and AJ on their team, which would be insane. Now, they would probably have to trade Lauri Markkanen to make it work, but Lauri has been in trade rumors for a while now, so I don't think that it would be that big of a deal, and they could probably get a lot for Lauri, so really, I think they're going to be setting themselves up for the future, give them a reason to trade Lauri, get a lot for Lauri, and then you can go from there, and I just think he fits what Utah would want. They're going to be one of the most athletic teams in the league, and he's just way too good to pass up with the number one overall pick. He has superstar written all over him. And with the second overall pick, we have the Washington Wizards selecting Darien Peterson. Now, Darien Peterson, it would give them one of the best young backcourts in the entire league with Trey Johnson and himself. I think they would fit very well together. Darien Peterson can definitely score. He has more size, can defend a lot more. Trey Johnson's more of the just give me the ball, I'm going to score. Now, he's not a bad passer or anything, but he doesn't have the size Peterson has or the strength. And I just think they can do two different things. And I think they would complement each other very well. And then add in the fact that you have vets already on the team like CJ McCollum to help develop them, plus even a young guy like Bob Carrington behind them. So I think that their backcourt would be set up for their future, and they would have young guys, they would have veterans, and I just think they would be really set themselves up. They would have tons and tons of talent, and I think they would be a great duo. So I think Darien Peterson here would fit perfectly with the Washington Wizards, and I also just think just overall future-wise, long-term-wise, this is the move that makes the most sense for them. And now third overall, we have the Sacramento Kings selecting Tande Yesu. Now, Tande, in my opinion, watch this kid play, and the way he moves and just the play style he has, he looks identical to Anthony Edwards. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Anthony Edwards, but I am super high on Tande. He's a beast. I think he's going to have a great year for Baylor. His ceiling is unbelievably high, by far the highest ceiling left in the class at this point. Like I said, I think he has Anthony Edwards-like potential because they play so similar and they're built so similar. I think he could very much be a great player for them. And I mean, for the Kings to take a swing on a guy right here, I think that would be perfect because, I mean, they're most likely going to sell a lot of their veterans this season, like Zach LaVine's probably gone, Sabonis is probably gone. They are going to probably fire sale by the time the trade deadline comes. So to take a swing on a guy that has superstar potential like Tande, I think you absolutely do that. And I just think the kid is unbelievable. I love him. I think he looked great in high school. And if he can continue that in college, I have no doubt that this kid is going to be insane by the time he gets to the NBA. And now fourth overall, we have the Chicago Bulls selecting Elijah Arenas. Now, Elijah Arenas, I know he just had a bad injury and he's probably not going to be able to play at all this year in college, and he may not even go in the draft this year, but I still think he's going to declare because he is that talented. And I know it's a risk to be picking someone that's not going to play at all in college due to an injury, but Elijah Arenas, just watching him play, he's an unbelievable athlete. He can score from all three levels. He's a great scorer. He would fill the Chicago Bulls' weakest position. He has a very high ceiling, and he just kind of finishes the trio of their front court because you would now have Elijah Arenas, Mattis Bazelis, and Noah Sanjay all on the same team. I think you'd set yourself up for the future, and I think Arenas is draft stock is going to fall a lot due to him being injured, but I think his talent is still very high, and it justifies picking him here. I think he fits with Chicago, and I just think he would be too talented to pass up. Now, do I think he's going to go this high realistically due to his injury? Probably not, but I do think that the kid is this good, and he should be picked this high, and I am very, very high on Elijah Arenas as a player. And now moving 5th overall, we have the Brooklyn Nets selecting Nate Ammont. Now, Nate Ammont is a very, very solid big, probably one of the best big men, in my opinion, so far from what I've seen, the best big man in this class. He fills the Brooklyn Nets' biggest hole, which is their center position, or really power forward position is probably what he would play in the NBA, but that's still a very weak position for them. He would be a very good big to pair alongside Claxton and Danny Wolf, who they drafted this year. I think his ceiling's very high. He's a very talented player for his size. I think his two-way potential is good. I just think overall, I think Nate Ammont is a very, very good, solid big. Maybe will never be a superstar or anything, but definitely a player that's going to fill a role for Brooklyn and be able to play almost immediately for them, assuming they don't make any big trades or signings like that at the power forward position. I just think overall he would be a great duo, and I just think that he would be a great player for them, and they would be able to build around him and really have him as a foundational piece, even if he's never a superstar-like player. And 6th overall, we have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Carmen Lopez. Now, Carmen Lopez, a player out of the NBL, very, very solid player. I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, why do you have him this high? I just think he fits with Charlotte. It gives him a 3-and-D guy at their small forward position. He would fit the team very well. I could see them going many different directions, and I'm sure there will be different players by the time the actual draft comes around. But as of right now, I think he fits them the best. I think he's talented. I think he can be 3-and-D. Like I said, he already has pro experience. I just think overall he would be a very solid player for this team. And yeah, there's other players like Cameron Boozer, who probably people would argue needs to be higher. I'm just not as high on him, even like Caleb Wilson and people. But I just personally think Carmen Lopez here at 6 overall, as of right now, making this video, I think makes the most sense for the Hornets. And now to the 7th overall pick, we have the Portland Trailblazers selecting Yaxel Lindenburgg. Now, Yaxel was a player I loved at UAB this year. I thought he was going to declare this year, and I wanted him to go in the lottery. The kid's a beast. Okay, he can do literally everything, all the small ball, like small things you need to be done. He can rebound, he plays defense, he's athletic, he plays hard. But on top of that, he's a great offensive player. Like I said, he's going to do all the dirty work, so he's a two-way beast, high motor, very skilled offensive player for his size, fills their weakest position as well, especially if they trade Jeremy Grant. Like, there's just so much upside to Yaxel Lindenburgg, even though he's a 4-year player, I'm pretty sure at this point, or maybe a third. He might be a junior. He's either a 3 or 4 year player going into this class, but still, I think for sure Yaxel's good enough to pick with a top 10 pick. I think he'd be a great player for Portland for years and years to come, and I just think overall you can't go wrong here, and he's probably one of the safest picks in this class. Now, maybe never a superstar, but I could definitely see him being a high level role player in the NBA, and even starting player, like a high level starter for them for a very long time if things worked out. So I just think overall Yaxel Lindenburgg is so talented, and I think he will be great, and hopefully he can show what he showed last year at UAB now at Michigan, and if he can continue to play at that level, the kid's stock is only going to rise from here. And now with the 8th overall pick, I have the Memphis Grizzlies using the Phoenix Suns pick to pick Mikel Brown Jr. Now, Mikel Brown Jr. is an extremely talented offensive player. He can score for himself with ease. He can be a self-creator for himself, and I think he would be a perfect 6-man off their bench, because obviously he's not going to start for like Ja or anything, and I don't think he's much of a shooting guard, nor does he have the size to be a shooting guard, but I do think to have a guy that can just come off your bench and score and give you a bucket is very valuable, and not a lot of people just have that, and it's very nice to have, especially if you get an injury to like your best player that's in the same position, and then you can put him there, and at least he can fill the need offensively, which is something that not a lot of people can do in this league. It's self-creating for them, and I just think Mikel Brown Jr. for them could be a great option there. And then even if, say, like Ja doesn't work out, you can then start him, and I don't think, now obviously you're not going to get the same level of talent, but you're at least going to get a lot of offensive output out of him opposed to someone else that you could get. So I just think overall he would fit this team very well, and even long-term could be a starting level player for them depending on how the Memphis Grizzlies team goes as a whole into the future. And now number 9 overall, I have the Atlanta Hawks selecting Cameron Boozer. Now the reason I have them selecting Cameron Boozer here is because, one, they just lost Clint Capella, and they don't really have any backup bigs after that. Now I know they have Onyeka, and they have their guy who they just drafted, Asa Newell, okay? And yes, Asa Newell, I'm not super high on, but I think he's probably going to be okay enough to fill a hole. But I think Cameron Boozer's ceiling is much higher, and although I'm not as high on Boozer as a lot of people are, I can see why you would like him. And if he can shoot the 3-ball and can score more on offense than I think he's going to be able to, his potential is going to be even higher, and I think he would fill the need of a power forward for this team greatly and could be their long-term option there if he does work out and they do hit on him. So due to his high ceiling and him fitting a need for this team currently, I think Cameron Boozer would be a great pick for them, 9th overall. And now 10th overall, I have the Miami Heat selecting Koa Pete. Now they play very similar to Carmen Lopez earlier. He's a 3-and-D archetype type player, not super athletic, but big enough to guard 1 through probably 3, solid enough on the defensive side of the ball, can shoot the hell out of the 3-pointer as well. I think he could be a very good rotational player for them, and he kind of reminds me of a Kyle Anderson type guy, and getting Kyle Anderson number 10 overall isn't bad at all. I think he would fit Miami, I think he would fit what they need, and I just think overall this would be a very solid pick for them right here. And now for the 11th overall pick, we have the Toronto Raptors selecting Caleb Wilson. Now Caleb Wilson, once again, another one of these 3-and-D kind of archetype players. There's a lot of them in this class. He can shoot the 3 very well. He has pretty solid size, and I just think he kind of fits what they need, because I think Grady Dick's going to end up starting for them, and then you're going to have Caleb Wilson off the bench, and they just kind of have a strange team because they also have Brandon Ingram for them. So he definitely is going to be coming off the bench year 1 if they picked him here. And then on top of that, at power forward, you have, I think, Scotty Barnes, and you just picked Colin Murray Boyles, and they have Jakob Poeltl, who they just extended. And then they still have Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and players like that, obviously. So I think he would definitely be a bench player year 1, but his potential to develop into a 3-and-D type guy, you can never have enough like those guys on your roster, lengthy people who can play defense and spread the floor. Now, I don't think he's ever going to be anything super great, but I do think he's going to be a very solid player for them, and I just think he would fit them long-term as well. And with the 12th overall pick, we have the Memphis Grizzlies using their own pick this time to select Isaiah Evans. Now, Isaiah Evans is out of Duke. He had a very solid freshman season with Duke, and he's shown tons and tons of flashes. The kid can get hot quickly and very fast. His athleticism is pretty good. I'm sounding like a broken record here, but he has very high 3-and-D potential as well. He has very high offensive upside. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a 3-level scorer this year at Duke, and his stock could even rise past this point. Like, he could be getting picked even higher if he does develop the way he should. And I mean, his 3-point shot's already there. He just has to get very good defensively and be able to probably add a little bit more to his offensive game. But this kid could legitimately get picked top 10, top 5 overall by the time the year is over. So I think if Memphis is able to get him 12th overall due to his size and his ability and already what he can do now, plus the upside that he has in the future, I think this would be a very solid pick for them. And now 13th overall, we have the Indiana Pacers selecting Tomislav Aisich out of Illinois. Now, Tomislav is a very interesting player. He's not going to be anything great, but he definitely has a chance to be a very, very solid center in this league. And with the fact that Indiana no longer has Miles Turner on their roster, they are in need of a center, and Tomislav can do exactly that. Now, is he going to be as good as Miles Turner? No, but he has good size, he has good strength, he can spread the floor, and he just has kind of a high offensive upside for a center like him, while also not giving away anything like height, rebounding, or strength. So overall, he's going to probably be a pretty solid center in the league, and Indiana would at least be getting a rotational guy, and maybe even a starting guy long term if they went with this pick here. And the last pick in the lottery, we have the San Antonio Spurs selecting Jaden Quintance? I think it's Quaintance. I'm probably butchering his name. But he transferred from Arizona State to Kentucky this year, and he is just a freak athlete. He reminds me a lot of like an Isaiah Jackson, but a lot stronger. Almost like if you can combine Isaiah Jackson and Isaiah Stewart into a player, I think that's what you would have. Because he is a freak athlete, very strong, very big. Now, offensively, he does struggle outside of anything but dunking, but he's a very solid defensive guy. He can rebound the hell out of the ball. And so if he can just get a little bit of a turnaround game, a hook shot, anything that's not just dunking the ball, he could have a little bit of upside to him. But as he is right now, I think he's just going to be a pretty solid center in the league. Probably nothing great, but 14th overall, to get that for the Spurs when you already have Wembanyama on the roster, it kind of just add like a different versatility to your center room, because Wembanyama is more of the finesse, kind of like just very skilled big man, while Quintance can be more of your bang in the paint, big body, strong guy to kind of be an enforcer, which is nice to have the versatility in your center room to be able to do that, and I think that's exactly what he could provide. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be for his video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you like the picks? Do you hate the picks? Do you think I should have had someone else in the lottery, took someone out? On your thoughts in the comment section below. And like point, like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute word to me, and I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.